study,
and play come together on a Windows 11 PC.
And for a limited time, college students get
The best of both worlds.
Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Unlock over $3,500 in business and travel value annually with statement credits on select purchases from brands like Dell, Hilton, and Adobe, and other benefits. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Based on total potential value of statement credits on select purchases and other benefits, enrollments required, monthly and other limits and terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nerding Out on Neurodiversity, the podcast for all things neurodivergence. I'm Dr. Matt Zakreski, clinical psychologist and professional speaker, and I'm happy to be your host through the wild trails of the neurodivergent world.
And I'm Jake Noonan, educational coach and humanities teacher, your co-host and producer, and I'm thrilled to help share the stories and the experiences of wonderful people in the world of neurodiversity.
We're really excited for today's guest, which we are going to say a lot because we're always really excited about every guest we get. So let's get into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Nerding Out on Neurodiversity. I am your host, Dr. Matt Zakreski, clinical psychologist, professional speaker, published author, wearer of many hats, including, this podcast host. With me, as always, is the DD to my Dexter in my laboratory, Mr. Jake Noonan. Say hi, Jake.
Hey, everybody. Great, as always, to be here. Dr. Matt, I am glad that I get to be DD because I feel like between the two of us, I press the buttons a lot for you.
Definitely press the button.
Especially those big red buttons, like, don't press it, don't press it.
Press it, Jake. Don't press the giant button.
It's too late. It's too late.
Buttons have already been pressed. So, Jake, something you probably don't know about me is in 1998, when I was getting ready to go to high school, and you were what, in second grade?
Well, depending on the time, I think I was 5 or 6.
Sweet Jesus. Fine, hold on. I'm going to do what Demi Moore does in like that, the substance. But I received an electronic mail from the Walt Disney Animation Public Charter School that they had down in Florida. And I went up to my mom and was like, I need to go to this school. And my mom's like, you are not leaving this public high school that's really good in New Jersey that we pay a zillion taxes for to go to a boarding school to draw cartoons for high school in Orlando. I was like, or I could do that.
And you could have animated everything on all the new Disney movies.
Right? Could have. Now, what I did not know at the time was that there was a school for cartooning and graphic art right here in New Jersey. And if I had known this place existed, I would have simply taken New Jersey Transit up there and chained myself to the door.
If only.
If only. But we have one of my friends and colleagues representing that school here with us today. Fernando, thank you so much for being on the pod. I am such a fan of you and your work, both as an artist and as a representative of the school. Can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. This is very exciting for me. I'm very happy to be here. So, as Dr. Matt said, my name's Fernando Ruiz, and I am a not only representative of the Kubert School, but I'm also a graduate. So I graduated from the thank you. Graduated from the Kubert School. I lived the Kubert School dream. I drew comic books. Mostly, most people would know me from my long run with Archie comics. So I've drawn Archie, Jughead, Sabrina, Josie and the Pussycats, Archie's Weird Mysteries, The Life with Archie magazine, where Archie died. Don't blame me.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
That's up there with the death of Superman for me, by the way. It's like
Other spoilers.
Spoilers. And most recently, I drew Archie Meets Jay and Silent Bob,
Interesting.
written by the great Kevin Smith. And in addition to all that drawing, I've come back to the school. So I've been teaching here at the Kubert School. Actually, this month makes 30 years. This month, this being August, when we're saying this, it's 30 years this month that I've been teaching for the school.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. The last 4 years, I've joined the school's administration as its academic supervisor.
and I ran into Fernando professionally when actually there's a kid in my neighborhood who attends the school, and I saw him wearing a beanie, and I was like, "What's that?" He goes, "Oh, it's like this cartooning school." He's like, "It's just over in Dover," and I was like, "So there's a school?" Okay, just breathe, just breathe. And it was funny because my wife is super like my wife has been into Archie forever, and when I was trying to explain Fernando who you were, I just pulled open, our crate of Archie. I was like, Fernando did this one and this one and this one and this one and this one. So, like, for all those kids out there who drew comics growing up and constantly were filling the backs of all those worksheets with doodles and their take on X-Men and all that, how did you go from that kid to who you are right now? I mean, there's got to be a path, right?
I get similar questions a lot, and my answer, which may sound a little simplistic, is the difference between the kid who draws and the kid who doesn't is somewhere along the line, the kid who doesn't stopped. Somewhere along the line, maybe it was sports, girls, whatever, something came along and it became more important to that kid. The rest of us unfortunate souls, we hung in there, and fortunately it works out for some of us.
Right. I was going to say, I was like, girls? I don't know what they do. I drew a lot of comics as a kid. There was no Venn diagram between those two things.
It's two separate circles.
Yeah, right. They can't even wave to each other. It's like that when you're just passing in the night. I mean, they say that the best ability is availability, right? Like, you just keep showing up, you keep doing the work, and like you just get better at it. And I love how simple it is, because one of the things I say a lot as a therapist is that just because something is simple doesn't mean it's easy.
Yeah.
You really need to commit to it. And as life gets more complicated, right, with girls and puberty and other activities in high school, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's harder to find time to get out the old Bristol board and just like really do some stuff. So, I mean, for people out there listening, like, it really is your classic simple but not easy thing. Like, if this is something you want it to be important to you, just like your peers are practicing soccer or lacrosse or surfing or making music on their computer, you've got to submit that kind of energy to your drawing, because that's really what's going to get you as high as you're able to go.
It's true. And one of the things that I think takes people out of the running early on is frustration sets in. One of the things I always hear a lot, which kind of saddens me a little, is when people, and they mean well, when they're complimenting my work, oh, you must have been born with this ability, or, this was a gift from God. And I always say, well, no. Once upon a time, I drew poorly. Like, we all begin drawing poorly. The only difference is that I hung in there and I learned how to draw along the way, and that took work. So I think a lot of kids see the crudeness of their early work, and they get frustrated and they bail. Some of us hang in there, and some of us do get encouragement. And I think that really counts for a lot when you do have people saying that, you're doing a good job there, this looks good. That's certainly one of the reasons, me as a little kid, that I kept drawing, is that, I had teachers and my parents were always telling me that, this is good.
Well, and like, let's stay there for a minute, because as a kid who was a young artist, right? Like I won my first art competition when I was 8 years old. And I was always the person they were like, you're so good at drawing, keep drawing. But actually, I think that ended up working against me, like it does for a lot of gifted kids, is that no one taught me. All they ever said was how good I was at it. And like, listen, yes, I was an above average artist. I might have even been gifted at it, but there was no instruction that came along with that talent. So when I talk to kids who are gifted artists, I'm like, listen, I got a 2 on the AP art exam in high school because I was only good at drawing cartoons. I wasn't actually good at any of the other things that artists do. I still can't shade for shit. And the fact that I'm colorblind doesn't help. That's actually funny why I was so drawn to comic books is that Superman is always blue. And it's like, okay, I know that, right? And color blocking really helped me out. So, like, how do you, and this can be you in your role as a professor, or just sort of the Kubert School in general, how do you take those kids who are, preternaturally talented and level them up? Because I would guess that's the hardest part of your guys' job.
Honestly, it's yeah and no. We kind of get both ends of the spectrum because by the time they come to us, and I'm talking about our students in the full-time program, they're high school graduates. Most of them have been drawing all their lives. So most of them come to us with some degree of ability. And there's a range, but there's some level of competency. So for us, I think the more common challenge is trying to get this student to now face the reality that in school, in high school, grammar school, he may have been the class artist, but now he's in a school full of class artists. He has to understand he needs to take that extra step to distinguish himself from these peers, these colleagues. He is looking to join a very competitive industry. And the comics field, it is entertainment. I tell this to our students all the time. It's the entertainment industry, just like singing, dancing, acting. You're basically somebody who's very good at this skill, competing with a lot of other people who are very good at this skill for a few number of jobs. So there's a good deal of bringing down to earth for us.
We're going to take that ego or just go squirt.
There's some of that happens. It has to happen.
It has to happen. I mean, I think humility is good.
Yeah.
I think we tend to, as a society, as we, treat these, anybody really with talent it's either you're God's gift to this thing and we can't talk to you, or like, I got to keep you humble and you squish them, right? I always tell parents, it's like, my job is to keep this kid's flame lit. I don't want to put the fire out, but I also don't want it to be a raging inferno because that's how you become a raging asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly what we do. It's important that we don't want to bring them down to earth so hard that they want to quit and they never want to do this again. And I'm sure that's unintentionally happened somewhere along the way to one or two. But, one of the things that we do here at the Kubert School is we really try our best to prepare our students for the cold, hard realities of the real world and what it's going to be like for them professionally. And I believe we're pretty straight about that. All of our teachers here at the school, they're all working professionals. I always tell people, I defy you to find a teaching degree among our faculty. and probably a couple of them have it, but it's not what we look for. Our main requirement with our teachers is that they're working in what they're teaching, that they are active professionals. And I think that's, that really helps. It helps as an inspiration to the students to see, oh, look, somebody can make it. But also, too, it really gives them access to that real world experience. And also, too, most of our faculty like me, where they tend to be graduates or at least attended the school, even if they didn't go all the way through. So I think that's good for the students too.
Jake, the first time I toured in their old location, because they just moved and they've absolutely upgraded. It's really awesome.
Thank you.
But Fernando was walking me around, and and it's funny because now all I can remember is like absolute fanboy moment. But we ran into somebody in the faculty. I was like, "Oh my God, that's the person!" And I have your books at home, and you're here in this room, and you're eating like you're drinking a soda. It's like that sports academy down in Florida, IMG Academy down in Florida. They have like on their sports faculty, like, oh, this is the guy who won the Heisman Trophy in football, and there's the guy who won the Wooden Award in basketball, and like they were just like coaches on this thing. Like you're just walking around campus, and like that's DeMarcus Beasley. He's right there. Like, and then that's what it's like walking around the Kubert School. It's like, is that if Jock had walked around a corner at some point, I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense that you'd be here.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, it's good that I have zero chill anyway, because like real chill among these people. And like, Fernando, like, what's that like as a faculty? Like, do you feel like you guys lift each other up? Do you feel like as you said, there aren't that many jobs. So do you guys support each other, or does it feel like, are you modeling to the kids? It's like, listen, the cream rises to the top. This is how you make a living in this field.
Yeah, we're pretty honest about it. In terms of the faculty, most of us have been working together for, decades now. A lot. It's a pretty close knit colony because we start out as students. Some of us actually went to school together, and then we're taught by teachers, and then we end up teaching alongside these teachers. One of the great thrills for me was when I first joined the faculty. I'm eating lunch with Joe Kubert and other teachers who taught me, and that was great. And a lot of them became good friends of mine, and they're still good friends of mine. There's a certain closeness, and each of us, our career paths and our careers have been just so different. I always tell the students an artist's career can be like as unique as a fingerprint. No two artists have had the same exact path, so which is why like you could talk to two different artists and just get just such different information from them, and which is great, which is really terrific. I think there's a closeness, there's a camaraderie there's a trust. At this point, like I said, we've just known each other for years now. And yeah, I tell this to the students too. Our school is a pretty close school. It's a small school. We have last year we had about 55 students in total, and now it might be a little bit smaller than that this year. But everybody gets to know everybody. In an environment like that, every teacher gets to know every single student. We all get to know what students are capable of doing, what they might be needing some help in. And when jobs come along, we know, okay, that guy, he's good at penciling. This guy, he's good at inking. This guy is very good at digital coloring. This guy is good, but he's slow, so we may not want to think about him for this job. So we could size people up like that very, very instantly. And I think that's really good. I think that really adds to it.
I love that because it's focusing a lot on skills that the kids have, where it's like you naturally have this skill already. We're going to develop that further. And then like, that's not necessarily where we're going to push you to focus, but like, here's a path for you if you want to take that.
Yeah. And you never know what you're going to get. Because one of the classes that we teach here at the school is lettering. I'm sure you guys have looked at comic books. You've seen the word balloons. You've seen the POWs, the ZAPs, the BAMs, the logos. It's somebody's job to do all that. Make no mistake, this is not the glory job. This is not writing the word balloons is not drawing Spider-Man. Okay. So, that's probably as close to math as our school gets. So, everybody goes into lettering and they're like, oh, lettering. But I tell people, don't sleep in lettering class because right now everybody needs a letterer out there. And there's about 3 people in the whole industry, one of which teaches at our school, who do all the lettering for the comic book industry. It's not, like I said, it's not the glory work. It's not the most, the highest paying end of it all. But, 2 years ago, DC Comics, they really needed letterers. And what they did was they contacted our school and they said, look, we need 2 letterers. Can you find us 2 letterers? So we had a school-wide audition. We opened it up we're a 3-year program. We opened it up to our third years, second years, and first year students. 2 people ended up getting hired, as a result of that. So one was a girl who was graduating that year, and the other was a second year student. And he started lettering for DC. And I'm sure when he came to our school, he never in a million years dreamed, okay, I'm gonna letter, Booster Gold or whatever he ended up doing, or Blue Beetle. But there's a path, there's a road. There's a professional credit in his resume now because he was pretty good at lettering. So we get students and they all may want one thing, but along the way, we're teaching them all aspects of comic book creation from beginning to end, literally. So they may find skills that they had no idea. We get students and they graduate and they become colorists. Whoever dreams of being a colorist, but there you go.
Yeah. Not me. So I can't color and Jim can't write. So, I mean, we're going to fail those classes.
Just a little bit, yeah.
If it makes you feel better, Dr. Matt, the legendary Tom Mandrake is also colorblind.
When I do my colorblindness talk, he's one of the people who's on the list. Famously, Jim Henson was colorblind.
I understand John Byrne,
Yep.
the great John Byrne.
I mean, yeah, I'm in good company. It just also makes my life harder sometimes. But I mean, Jake, you're a theater nerd like me. Like when they were talking about that, I started thinking Fame.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna live forever. So we're gonna write things. But I love this because when you see an artist at work, right? Whether it's Bruce Springsteen or Jock or like Tom Hanks, like you're seeing the person who stands and does, and it's easy to see that person as a singular entity. But comic books, like any creative process, requires so many people to sketch, people to ink, people to shade, people to color block, people to do the lettering. And I think that in a industry that feels very like there's only one kind of job and it's to do the whole thing, you guys naturally model that it does take a team. Like you need to work with other people. Like DC wasn't hiring a guy to take over Booster Gold. They needed someone to be on the Booster Gold team. And I think that really, not only is it a healthier psychological stance for teaching these kind of kids, but I think it's realistic because that's what the career looks like, at least as I understand it.
Yeah, and it also brings into it a certain practicality in terms of producing your work. You're not working in a vacuum. You're not working isolated on an island just for you. What you do is going to affect and involve other people. And at whatever end of it, if you could be the inker, you get these pages, you got to ink them, and you got to do it by a certain amount of time. Because if you don't do your part by, whatever your deadline is, well, then the letterer has nothing to letter. The colorist has nothing to color. And editor misses a print date, with the printer, the company's losing money. So, you've got a responsibility as a member of that team to produce, not only to do a quality job, but you have to be dependable. the great Neil Adams, he used to say it. This is so famous. You may have heard it, so forgive me. There's three qualities to a comic book artist: being good, being, very talented, being fast, or being a nice guy. In order to succeed in this business, Neil said, you have to have two of these. If you're not good, you could still get hired by being fast and nice. And if you're not a nice guy, you could still be hired by being good and fast. So you have to have at least two of those going for you in order to be hired.
Oh, I have a weird question from that you probably are sick of hearing and thinking about, but where's like AI fit in for this for you?
Well, it is a more and more of an ever-present question. There's this revulsion against AI. If you ever frequent any art sort of Facebook page or social media, you see, AI, it's like any new technology. It comes on the scene and people fear it. People think, well, this is going to kill us. Personally, I think there's limitations to AI. I think at a certain point, the legal questions could really undercut AI. Right now, sure, a very small company can produce professional quality artwork by going to, Chat GPT or whatever. But I think at a certain point, you're going to see some stuff getting produced, because AI doesn't produce anything original. It's drawing from artwork that's out there. Once you start seeing a few high-profile legal battles going on where some big name artists come along and say, hey, this thing is using my art, I'm going to sue you, and certainly little companies aren't going to be able to fight these challenges. I also think there's going to be a certain cachet to having an artist, a real artist, do your artwork for you. And certainly, having big name artists produce your artwork. There's certainly, a certain glitz to that. So, AI is certainly here. It may be a very cheap, very accessible option for some people right now. But I maybe I'm an optimist, but my faith in humanity gives me reason that I think we're gonna persevere in the long run. It may take a bite out of us short term, but I think in the long run, you're going to need an art. You're going to need a creative. This may be more information than you wanted, but just a quick story for you. Years ago, I was hired as a freelancer. It was an ad agency that represented pharmaceutical companies here in New Jersey, where I live.
Okay.
Lots of big pharma in New Jersey. Right?
There is.
Yeah.
Big pharma and insurance in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And the mob.
We don't talk about that, though.
Our three industries. This company hires me on a freelance level. They bring me into their art department, where I got to meet the rest of the team. And right away, the question popped into my head: if you've got an art department, what do you need me for? But what I discovered was their art department was full of people who knew computers. They knew Photoshop. They knew how to programs. Nobody on this art department knew how to draw. Nobody could draw. So they're here, they're putting together a video. Basically, I was brought in to storyboard this video, kind of an in-house video. It's pharmaceutical, so how interesting is this going to be?
The most interesting thing ever. Come on.
Yeah.
We tried.
Were you the guy who was behind the Cialis, the Cialis like tubs? They were always like sitting outside in like bathtubs or something.
That was not me. But when you started pronouncing it, I thought you were going to hit the thing that I did, which ended up having. There was like, what do you call it when you have to pull it off the shelves? There were problems. And I was like, uh-oh, we're going to go there. But anyway, when I'm working with these people, they were fascinated by me because they could say, okay, we want this, this, and this to happen in the video. And as they're describing it, I can just draw it, you know? So, they're looking at me like I've got a superpower because I can generate these images that they couldn't. Now, they could take those images that I drew, they could animate them, color them, manipulate them digitally and do amazing things. But they needed me to conceive and create the initial image.
They needed you to be like their ChatGPT AI
Right.
text box for a second for them.
Right. And, there wasn't the tweaking that you need to do with a chat GPT, the AI. They just tell me, tell me what you want, and I could draw it. And my hands won't be screwed up.
You won't have 7 fingers.
Yeah. I won't draw 6 thumbs.
Like there's some eldritch stuff going on there, which is like, I'm here for weird mysteries too, but
Lovecraft would have some words at this point.
Oh, God, I loved Lovecraft so much as a kid. So, because it really is a superpower. Because I'm a brain nerd and because because I love this too. I want to like, what is the part of my brain that does this? So there's a part in your brain. It's on the upper right-hand side. It's the right subparietal gyrus. And that's really when we isolate creativity. That's really the part of the brain that lights up like Christmas. And the ability that people like Fernando have, and to a much smaller extent I have, is it's right next to Broca's area, which is the language receptive area of our brain. When those two parts of the brain connect, essentially words become images, or words become song, or words become dance. And that part of the brain literally goes, like, it transmutes it. And then we can express that through singing, dance, art, whatever that is. Because if I asked an average person on the street, hey, can you draw a cartoon dog in a 3-piece suit running to catch a cab? Some people's brains can't conceptualize that. They're like, I don't know what that, I won't even know how to start that. But you guys can't see Fernando's face, but you could see the light bulb go click. Oh yeah, I can draw that. Right. And they've been able to isolate this specific part of the brain, which is significantly more integrated in people who are, probably use the word creatives, right? Because there's literally a brain difference, which I think is really cool.
That's fascinating. You always hear, especially in art, the left brain, right brain thing. I never actually believed that. I didn't know if could the brain be actually that sectioned and specialized. But you're telling me yes.
Well, it's funny. The left brain, right brain thing has been largely debunked.
Okay.
Because it's easy, but the brain is both quantum in that all the parts kind of work together, and also has discrete things like the hippocampus, which does memory, and Broca's area, which does language, and this right parietal gyrus, which does creativity. But one way to think about it is like Fernando, what part of your body do you use to draw?
I'd say my right side.
Right. And specifically, what part of the right side of your body?
My hands.
Right. But drawing with your hand isn't just the muscles and tendons and bones in your hand. It's your wrist, it's your forearm, it's your shoulder.
Yeah.
My art teacher in high school, the first real art teacher I ever had, Miss Parmley, what's up? She was like, you have to draw from your shoulder. You draw from your wrist. She's like, it needs to be bigger. And and the art teacher goes, yes, see, he's right.
Oh, yes.
And I didn't know how tense and tight I was as an artist until she taught me that. So we can say, yes, art does come from the hand, but it's only one part of a broader picture. Just that's how the brain works, right?
Very true.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff, man. So then you put this stuff together, and to go back to Jake's question about AI, I think that there's been this very loud minority almost immediately, like, this stuff isn't worth it. This stuff is bad. Like, a lot of the artists I follow online are like, I don't want you to take my stuff. Like, I'm calling it out. I'm sharing this, I'm tagging them. I'm like, people aren't going quietly into that good night. And honestly, I think that you can tell. I think that like you can tell when somebody or a team of somebody's worked on something and it came out of that iterative process of hard work rather than like I told the computer to make Superman fighting Lex Luthor underwater for some reason. I mean, Fernando, you're in the industry. Can you tell the quality? Can you sort of figure out like the subjective nature of like how much the artist really invested in the work they did?
Sometimes you can, and I think when you get to know an artist's work, when you're dealing with like a singular artist, that work becomes very signature to that artist. Like we know Neil Adams's work, we know Bill Sienkiewicz's work. They're very different. They're very distinct. Charles Schultz worked in a very specific way. I don't know if we could count, and certainly, the technology I'm sure is going to get better. It's going to only progress, but I'm not sure we could count on that same degree of consistency from AI, because AI is essentially a soup. It's collecting from existing images and ingredients, and it's just throwing them all in there together until we say, okay, that's good enough. So we're not going to see, Neil Adams was, very solid artist, probably the best in his field for decades. For decades he held it together very well. I don't know if we get that with AI. I don't know if we get that. I don't know if we could say, okay, this AI is Neil Adams enough every single time. Is it making sense what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's like a part of AI also that, to like expand on that is kind of like an Ouroboros, like eating itself at this point. So like that soup is starting to kind of devour itself because it's being trained on so much, but now it's being trained on itself at this point.
And like I said, I'm sure they're going to get better and better. But one of the things that's depressing for me is now when I scroll on Facebook, like so many images are just AI generated, and so many of them just look off. And I'm not even talking about art. Those I'll see something, an image that's supposed to be from Star Wars, and I probably know Star Wars backwards and forwards by this point. And I'll look at this image and I'll say, well, I don't remember that. And why does everybody look funny? They don't look 100%. And why is everything shiny?
So shiny. Oh my God.
Everything looks like it was inflated and then really waxed. And again, I'm sure at some point AI is going to compensate for all these things. But right now, the bulk of what I see is like that. And I don't dig it. Every now and then there's like a cool image. Oh, wow, look at this. Gilligan's Island in space, or if it was from the 1950s. That's interesting. But now it morphs into something weird. Just my own personal taste. I don't dig what I'm seeing. And it makes my Facebook scrolling kind of depressing.
Oh my God. And I'm in the process right now of trying to teach my dad how to detect AI images and not share them. He's like, did you see that thing with Peyton Manning? I'm like, Dad, it's not real. First off, like Peyton Manning's skin is not that weird, shiny, waxy, glossy thing. Like he's a human being. My dad's like, but like, look at all the pictures. I'm like, so that's what I've been trying to teach him. Like, we don't call people out, we call people in. Like, I'm like, look at this. Look, like no human would stand next to another human that way. It's like, because AI can't really figure out like where the lines between things are, right? So they keep things weirdly far apart. So just I'm working, trying to teach him. He's like, well, here's this thing, right? This is Joe Biden making a comeback and he's feeling better. I'm like, and it would be great if those things were true, Dad, but also in this picture, he's riding half of a horse. And that's not really anything.
He also looks like he's like 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's corrupting my Instagram feed too, because now it's not even just the still images, but I'll go down Instagram and I'll be like, oh my God, a space shuttle crashed into the Roman Colosseum today. How is this not on the news?
It should be leading CNN right now.
And and you see people calling it the comments are the place to go these days. People call that's AI, that's AI.
It's helpful. But like, it's also really bad too. I saw one not too long ago that was like AOC in Congress and like sounded like her, seemed a little real, but like a little bit off, and it was clearly AI towards the end. But like, there's people who believe that, and she's like saying like ridiculous things.
Yeah, and it's kind of scary in a way, and like Dr. Matt's dad. There's older people, vulnerable people out there who are just going to run with it. They're going to see it. It's going to be real enough for them, and they're going to share it and spread it. And, it becomes the quintessential fake news. It becomes very scary and I think harmful.
I mean, what's the old line? Like, a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth gets a chance to put its pants on, right? Like, and it's funny because if the image was from a comic book, like Reed Richards has failed to stop the space shuttle from crashing into the Roman Colosseum, in a comic book, I want to read that. But if it's being passed off as a thing that's actually happening, almost certainly with something like, how come, the United Nations didn't stop this or whatever, then it becomes weaponized and dangerous, right? Like, narrative for the purpose of entertainment is great. Narrative as a weapon is dangerous, I think. And that's really,
it's true.
If we can deep fake AOC saying whatever, I mean, we need to create a generation of people who are engaging with media intentionally and critically, not just, well, Facebook told me that Barack Obama defected to North Korea, and that's like, let's just blast that out to my 6 million followers, and that's the end of that story, right? I can't wait till the AI was like, this conversation went well until Dr. Matt said that Barack Obama defected to North Korea. That's not true.
They're not supposed to know that yet.
You're feeding the beast.
Oh man. So Fernando, we have to get to our wrap-up questions, but I really want to ask you something that's a little bit more philosophical. So as an artist, as a creator, you wouldn't think that something like Archie, who's like famously Americana, could have anything to do with the Jay and Silent Bob's, view of Skinner's, right? Now, I grew up going to their comic book store. Like, there was a time where Kevin at least knew me, like, oh yeah, there's the kid who comes in here. So what's it like marrying two creative things that on the surface have nothing in common? Like, can you walk us through what was your process for that?
Yeah, well, I think I had more of the experience you described when I drew another crazy combo, which was Archie versus the Predator.
Who wins? I'm just spoiler here. Who wins?
It's a little hazy.
Come on, kill me.
Kind of depends what you call winning. I will say Archie dies.
Okay.
But when I was doing Archie versus Predator, honestly, when I first started the project, well, even when I was told about the project, I said to myself, old cynic that I am, I said, well, this is never going to happen. This is never going to get off the ground. To my surprise, it did. And to my bigger surprise, they asked me to draw it. And, and I get the script and I read the script, and it was really a fun story, a real fun project. If you guys haven't read it, I recommend hunting it down. Because it really starts out like an honest to God, your basic Archie story. They're in Riverdale, they go on spring break, and then the Predator shows up and kills and massacres everybody. And when we get to that point, I'm reading the script and I'm saying, there's no way they're going to let me, I know they're going to ask me to redraw everything. I have to assume this script was approved and I'm going to draw it, but I know they're going to ask me to redraw it. And they never did. To their credit, they never asked me to change a thing. So that felt bizarre. Oddly enough, doing the Archie meets Jay and Silent Bob, as different on the surface as you may think it is, like when they came to me with that, my initial reaction was like, how has this not been done before? How is this? Because it's almost like natural. And when I sat down and I drew Jay and Silent Bob and some of the other, Clerks characters, they were all such a perfect fit. They all, Archie-fying them it was a lot easier than Archie-fying the Predator. I'll tell you that. It was such a natural thing. And yeah, if you read Archie meets Jay and Silent Bob, it is unlike, this is Kevin Smith writing it. He's not holding back. I think we made history with the very first use of the F word in Archie.
Does Archie say it?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I feel like that's very important for who says it in that context as well.
It definitely wasn't Betty.
I hope it was. Betty's the one.
It was not Betty, but Betty does kick Archie in the balls.
Let's go.
I'm here for it.
You got that comment. I mean, I've been Team Betty since the very beginning, probably because Veronica scared the crap out of me as a kid. We like strong women here at this podcast, but also I was 9 at the time.
They can intimidate you. It's okay.
Also, I figure like I feel like if you wanted to take out the Predator in the Archie universe, just tell Jughead the Predator is hiding all the burgers, right? And then watch Jughead just go just complete full Arnold. But you guys have to buy the book and read it. We're not spoiling it for you. But once again, it's the power of that collaboration, right? Working with an incredible creative like Kevin.
Oh,
you guys married this journey, this vision, and I've read it. It's amazing. I'm a big believer in some things are good, some things are great, and some things are better than they have any right to be.
Uh-huh.
And I figured Archie plus Jay and Silent Bob would, I was like, that's probably something that's better than it has any right to be. No, it was genuinely great. It made sense, and you married the parts of those worlds that connect in a way that didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like a Christmas special where it's like, oh, the rules are totally different for this one episode. And it's truly something special. And I hope that you're very proud of that, because it really is an amazing episode.
I am. And Kevin Smith, who I met last month, we never met during the whole collaboration. He wrote his script. I got the script. I drew it. I had not met him. I did not meet him until we did a signing this past July in his store for his birthday. Actually, it was in August, a couple of weeks ago. And let me just say, he is the nicest person in the world. He was so gracious and complimentary. There's not a drop of Hollywood phoniness about this guy. The Kevin you see out there talking to the fan, that's him. That is, he's not putting on an act. That is him. And he was very complimentary, very just very nice. We hugged. So he was a delight. He really was. And he wrote a script that, I always say this about the best scripts that I've worked with. They tell me exactly what I need to know as far as the story goes, but there's just enough freedom in it that I can play, I can have fun. And I suspected, not having met Kevin before I started drawing, I suspected he was a man who appreciated a good Easter egg. And I went into it a big fan of the Clerks movies. Clerks, the original Clerks broke. I guess I'm the old man in this group. when I was about Dante's age, so Kevin and I are the same age. I was the perfect audience. And I grew up here in New Jersey, so I was a perfect audience for something like Clerks. So I was a big fan, and I followed Jay and Silent Bob into their other movies. So I had a nice wealth of knowledge to draw from, and I could put some fun stuff into the background, and you know, God bless him, I knew he would catch these things, and he did. So that was that, and that's always been fun for me.
I mean, and it's funny because I saw some of the Easter eggs, but now I'm thinking I probably missed some, so I have to go back and reread it.
Well, there's also Easter eggs from the Archie end of things too.
My wife and I are gonna have to read this together now because we're gonna have to bring all the brain power to bear.
Like Where's Waldo or I Spy.
Exactly. All right, so let's start wrapping this up. This is, I mean, I am so thrilled with getting to speak behind the curtain, see what's inside, what makes a book like this. Fernando, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. This has been fun. This has been, you know, we've had laughs. It's been a great conversation. I think we've covered a lot of good ground.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, Jake, you want to kick it off with a wrap-up question?
Yeah, absolutely. But I do have one real quick question for you first, Fernando, is
Sure.
what are your thoughts generally in like a couple seconds of Riverdale and like the Sabrina the Teenage Witch Netflix show?
Okay.
So I feel like I had to ask at this point.
Okay. I will admit I never got to see the Sabrina show.
Okay.
I understand it was very good. I never checked it out myself. Riverdale, I saw a little bit of Riverdale. Now, catching Riverdale as you know, I guess a 50-plus-year-old guy, that was not what I watch for recreation. You know,
Right.
It's not my cup of tea. You know, look, it did very well. It hung in there for, you know, what did they get? 7 seasons, 7 seasons?
Something like that, yeah.
I think somewhere along the line, it was like the most Netflix show in Canada, which is nothing to sneeze at. So it hit with people, you know, and I would get so many fans who would come up to me because they discovered Archie via Riverdale, to which I always said to them, well, there's a whole lot less murder and sex in the comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
You may be disappointed if you went Riverdale first and then the comics. You may be a little disappointed, unless you read Archie versus Predator. Then it's a smooth transition.
Right, yeah.
So that's like the transition point then into Riverdale.
It's all about entry point, right? I mean, yeah, no, in like the first episode where like I was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. It's like they're setting this up for Jughead and Betty to make out, but that would never happen. Jughead is famously, oh my God, what are they doing? And I was just like,
Jughead fakes his own death.
The first episode, I believe, Archie's making out with Miss Grundy.
Yeah, yeah.
And
so
just a lot to unpack there because the image I have of Miss Grundy in my head is not the actress they cast in that show.
I drew the image you have in your head. And that just stopped crowds at conventions. That was one of the most popular drawings I had.
Oh, all right. So, okay. Go, Jake.
That's awesome. But now to the real closing question for you is, what's your favorite word and why?
My favorite word. Wow. Geez, I use so many words. I would guess my favorite word has to be yes. I mean, how much more positive than that does it get? But usually a yes is a preamble to great things. You know, unless the question is, am I going to die right now? Yes. But usually a yes signals that something good is going to happen. At least that's the way it's mostly worked out. The association I have with it in my mind.
That's awesome. Like simplistic but poignant at the same time.
Thank you.
I think it's the first one of those we've gotten. I think yes is a really great word. All right. Now, Fernando, I am chomping at the bit for this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, no. This is, I always ask this question. This is special for you. If you could have any superhero on speed dial, who would it be and why? I mean, this is like coming from the guy too. So
Oh, that is such a great question. You know, it's kind of like, it's a little more creative than being asked like, who's your favorite superhero? If you'd hit me with that one, I always have to say it's kind of like, what's your favorite food? And I can't imagine just eating one solitary dish for the rest of my life, and I feel the same way about superheroes. I love Spider-Man. I love Superman. Those two are my favorites. I can't imagine only having those two to read. That would be disappointing to me. If I could speak, I think it would have to be, and this may be oddly specific, but it would have to be the Superman that I grew up with, which was the Superman of the, and actually, no, I'll retract. I'll go even more specific. It may have to be the Superboy that I grew up with.
Okay.
Now, when I was a kid, and that was actually my entry into superhero comics. I started out, my first comic books were the Harvey comics, Richie Rich, then I graduated to Archie. But then the superheroes came along, and the very first superhero I read was Superboy. And when I was reading it, Superboy was the adventures of Superman when he was a boy. When he was a kid. To me, and I guess this is what they intended. It was more accessible to me because he was a kid. He had his parents. He had a flying dog, which was enormously cool to me. So to me, like, there was a lot that I felt connected to with Superboy, and I read so much of him. I mean, to me, watching the 1978 Superman movie, it still gets to me when Pa Kent passes away, his father, his Earth father.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
To me, he always felt like a friend.
Yeah.
He was a really interesting friend. So I would love to be able to call Clark and just find out what's going on in his life, and if I could help him in any way,
See, that is such a great answer, and it shows the depth of the connection we have to these characters, these universes, these stories. I mean, whether it's Archie or Superman or something a little bit more obscure like Booster Gold, right? Because I remember Booster Gold more from the Justice League Unlimited animated series, right? Because that's a great episode with Booster Gold. Right there's like pathos and humility and a hero's journey in 23 minutes. And one of the great throwaway lines ever with the Batman Wonder Woman thing. It's just, but I mean, you could tell how much that character meant to you, and it's just, what a beautiful thing to share. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for the question and sending me down that road for a few minutes. Because he was a close friend when I was growing, and I have to credit Superboy with probably my earliest self-inflicted art lessons, and certainly the inspiration to keep going.
I mean, and that is what a great thing to actually wrap up on, because really that's the lesson to all you listeners out there, is just keep going.
Oh, that's that. What I tell the students, keep drawing.
Just keep drawing. Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. Well, Fernando, thank you so much for being here with us today. You're a delight. You're a visionary in the field. It's so cool to get to talk to you and just to experience a world that I think a lot of us benefit from, but a lot of us also don't know a lot about. It really got to feel like we got to really go behind the scenes today. So thank you for your time and your talent.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you, Doctor. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Jake. This was fun. Like I said, this felt like, we're sitting around in the comic shop just talking. So thanks for making me feel welcome and relaxed and having me.
Well, for all of us here at Nerding Out on Neurodiversity, thanks, audience, for listening with us, learning with us, and learning from us. And always thank you for trusting us with your time. Jake, you want to send us out?
Absolutely. Take care, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Fernando, what a pleasure. It was wonderful to meet you. Keep drawing. Let us know when your next super, super, super fun comic adventure starts.
I will. I will.
Not just the teaching, but like you have a new project. You're like, this is the one I'm so excited for.
Follow me on social media. I'm always, I rarely keep secrets. So follow me. It's all out there.
Awesome. But take care, everybody. Thank you again.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Nerding Out on Neurodiversity is brought to you by Dr. Matt Zakreski and the team at the Neurodiversity Collective. To learn more about the Neurodiversity Collective or to be a guest on the podcast, please visit our website at www.theneurodiversitycollective.com/podcast. Audio and production by Jake Noonan. Show your support by subscribing, leaving a 5-star review, and telling your friends about us. Our Instagram and social media handles are at #NoonPodcast, NOON podcast. Your support is appreciated and keeps us going. All discussions presented on this podcast are strictly for informational purposes, awareness, and understanding. The advice presented is not and should not be considered to be therapeutic in nature. If you have any mental health questions, please contact your provider. All rights reserved.
Have no fear, Chosen Foods is here to defend your favorite foods from the forces of seedy oils and sketchy ingredients. With cooking oils, salad dressings, and mayo, all powered by the good fats from 100% pure avocado oil and simple, delicious ingredients. Chosen Foods.
Hey, Mama. Thanks for making all my favorite recipes.
Hi, Ma. Thanks for your unfiltered advice.
Hi, Mom. Thanks for always being by the phone.
Hey, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.
When you ship UPS Air at the UPS Store, your items arrive on time or your money back. Guaranteed at no extra cost. Exclusively at the UPS Store U.S. retail locations. Visit the upsstore.com/airshipping for full details. Terms and conditions apply. Send your Mother's Day gifts at the UPS Store and we'll get your gratitude there on time.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.